Senator Gary Peters asked Attorney General Pam Bondi a question that most Americans might not even realize needs to be asked. Why are ICE agents and other immigration officers covering their faces during enforcement operations? His concern wasn't abstract. It's about public safety and trust. When law enforcement operates without visible identification, when agents wear masks and conceal who they are, it blurs the line between lawful enforcement and intimidation.
Attorney General Bondi, good to have you here. Welcome to the committee. General Bondi, leadership at DHS has claimed that ICE and others who are carrying out immigration enforcement activities in support are covering their faces to protect themselves from being doxxed. And certainly I fully understand those concerns and I appreciate those concerns, and I think they're real concerns. But I'm deeply concerned that the lack of identification during these activities is dangerous, both to the public as well as to the officers themselves. The public risk being harmed by individuals pretending to be immigration enforcement, which has already happened. We've seen that happen. And these officers also risk being injured by individuals who think they're basically being kidnapped or attacked by some unknown assailant. So my question for you, Attorney General Bondi, is given the number of DOJ employees currently conducting immigration enforcement activities in support of DHS, how are you going to ensure that the safety of the public and the officers, if they continue to not follow required protocol to identify themselves as law enforcement?
And Senator Peters, that's the first time that issue has come to me about them cover. You're saying that law enforcement officers, when they cover their faces.
Right.
I do know they are being doxxed, as you said. They're being threatened. Their families are being threatened. You know,
Again, I get that, but they have to identify themselves. There is an insignia oftentimes. They have to identify themselves as law enforcement. People think, here's a person coming up to me, not identified, covering themselves. They're kidnapping. They'll probably fight back. That endangers the officer as well. And that's a serious situation. People need to know that they're dealing with a federal law enforcement official.
Senator, I would be happy to look at that issue with you and talk to all of our partner law enforcement agencies. But I can assure you that if they're covering their faces now, it's to protect themselves. But they also want to protect all citizens. And that's something we can work together on to ensure the safety of everyone and their families.
Yeah. And it's protecting themselves, too, if they identify themselves. It's not just the person, because someone's going to fight back if you just think a strange person with their face covered throwing you into a van. Most people will resist that.
It sounds like you have a specific case, and I would
be
happy to talk to you about that at a later time, because I'm not aware of that happening, but I'd be happy to talk to you about that.
We'd be happy to do it. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Earlier this month, the administration announced it was launching an effort to ramp up immigration apprehensions by shifting more than 5,000 personnel from across federal law enforcement, including approximately 2,000 from within the Justice Department, away from their typical duties to focus on immigration-related cases, including targeting individuals whose status had been terminated by this administration. This effort is on top of previous directives for department officials to focus on immigration enforcement. Many of these officials impacted by these directives, unsurprisingly, say they're being forced to turn their attention away from other national security missions, including counterterrorism, and cybersecurity. There has been public reporting that hundreds of FBI agents have been reassigned to immigration-related duties, and raising real concerns among agents themselves that the shift could hinder investigations into terror threats and espionage by China and Russia. And we have also heard concerns about resources being reoriented at the state and local level. Attorney General Bondi, I know the Justice Department officials have said that this president can walk and chew gum at the same time, and that you continue to hold all criminals accountable regardless of immigration status. But numerous reports on the ground from career government officials and some basic common sense would beg to differ. Given the attacks on Iran over the weekend, this issue has become even more salient, with threats from terrorists inspired by Iran, cyber attacks, often by Iran itself, or additional efforts by that regime to go after government leaders. So my question is, how are you ensuring that there are enough resources focused on the full range of national security threats, and there's no shortage of those, when so many of our DOJ resources are being reallocated to immigration enforcement?
I talk to Director Patel or Deputy Director Bongino 7 days a week. I speak to my National Security Division. We meet every single day. Emil Bovee, who's currently with us, is doing an incredible job in the national security space as well, helping us. We are doing everything. We are using our resources on all fronts. And when you say immigration, immigration is going hand in hand with the people who have come into our country through our borders. I think just over 1,500 illegal aliens from Iran are here. Chinese individuals, Russian individuals, people from every country. That goes hand in hand with immigration, identifying them, finding them, and getting them out of our country. Will national security be compromised? Not at all, Senator. It will be increased. It will be enhanced. I can tell you, every day we talk about this multiple times a day, 7 days a week, as to what we can do, working hand in hand with DEA, ATF agents, FBI, Homeland Security, ICE, to make sure that our nation is safe. And FBI, they have a 24/7 center set up now. And actually, we've set some up around the country. And you're welcome to actually come see one if you would like anytime. I would love to have you come in and see what we do. But we have that set up around our country on a national security level to be sure Americans are safe and do everything we can to get terrorists who are in our country out of our country.
Well, certainly, I don't disagree with any of that. There do obviously criminal elements that are there need to be taken care of, but you're also looking at cybersecurity, which is different. You're looking at counterterrorism issues that are different, and I don't believe that we were over-resourced in those areas. You may beg to differ. So they were not over-resourced. We were making sure that they had the resources to deal with the other threats, but now those people are being pulled off those jobs for another job. I just want to make sure that we're still doing things necessary to protect us from cyber threats, counterterrorism, and the long list of other threats that we face every day.
Thank you for those questions, and I know your background, and that's why it's so important to all of us. And yes, we are. And cybersecurity, I could go on for 2 hours about cybersecurity and what's happening. Not only that, the online child predators online, but the foreign terrorist threats through cybersecurity that we can talk about in a different setting. I'd be happy to discuss all of that with you and our efforts, not only made within our country, but with our partners worldwide.
Well, I look forward to having that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman.
Senator.
Peters is pointing out something simple but essential. When the public cannot tell if someone is truly a federal agent, it creates real danger for everyone involved. Senator Peters and Pam Bondi clash over a fair hearing, one that goes far beyond a simple policy disagreement. This moment gets to the heart of two competing visions of what national security and law enforcement should look like in America. One grounded in transparency, accountability, and balance, and the other leaning toward fear-driven enforcement and political posturing. This isn't theoretical. There have been documented cases of individuals impersonating immigration officers, exploiting that fear and confusion to commit crimes, kidnapping, assault, extortion. If agents look like anonymous figures in masks, how can a citizen know whether they're being detained by a lawful officer or being targeted by someone posing as one? Senator Peters' warning is about the erosion of transparency, one of the foundational principles of democratic law enforcement. Pam Bondi's response, however, was carefully evasive. She acknowledged that agents face serious threats, doxing, harassment, targeted attacks, and that's true. No one disputes that these dangers exist. But what was missing from her answer was any clear plan or commitment to reconcile those legitimate security needs with the public's right to accountability. Saying they're covering their faces to protect themselves doesn't address the fact that identification protocols exist for a reason. It's not about bureaucracy. It's about legitimacy, safety, and trust in the system. Senator Peters wasn't just worried about masks, he was concerned about the broader redirection of Justice Department and FBI resources. Under current directives, thousands of agents are being reassigned from national security and counterterrorism roles to focus on immigration enforcement. Peters highlighted the danger in this shift, that chasing political narratives about immigration could be weakening our defenses against genuine threats, such as foreign cyber attacks, terrorism, and espionage from countries like China, Russia, and Iran. His question was as strategic as it was moral. Are we making America safer, or are we chasing headlines? Bondi's reassurance that national security isn't compromised, that it's somehow enhanced, sounds comforting on paper, but it sidesteps the math. If you move hundreds of agents from counterintelligence to immigration, something gives. You can't walk and chew gum if you've pulled half the people off the gum line. The democratic concern here, and Peters embodies it perfectly, is that national security should not be a zero-sum game. You can enforce immigration law, yes, but not at the cost of undermining critical cyber defenses or counterterrorism efforts. This exchange also highlights an important truth about how Democrats tend to approach governance: measured, data-driven, and humane, rather than reactive and politically opportunistic. Peters wasn't just criticizing policy, he was questioning a mindset, one that treats immigration as the center of all national threats. By broadening the conversation to cyber threats and terrorism, Peters reminded the committee that real security is multifaceted. It requires smart allocation of resources, transparency in enforcement, and an unwavering commitment to the rule of law. And that's where his final message resonates the most. His questioning wasn't just procedural, it was about values, the kind that protect both citizens and officers, the kind that prioritize truth over theater. If there's one takeaway from this exchange, it's that national security and accountability are not opposing goals. In fact, one cannot exist without the other. Covering faces, redirecting resources for political reasons, or blurring lines between agencies, all of it chips away at the very trust that keeps law enforcement effective. Senator Peters' voice in that hearing reminds us that real leadership means asking the uncomfortable questions, the ones that defend the public interest, not political power. If you believe in transparent government, evidence-based policy, and national security that protects everyone equally, share this. Conversations like this matter. This is how democracy holds power accountable.